Good day, good afternoon, good evening. It's always such a pleasure to come into your homes every Sunday. My name is Sylvia Litana Robertson. I am the co-host for this show. With I'll be introducing our host in a few minutes as soon as I have said my hellos to everybody. How is everybody doing with this COVID-19? You know, our lives have completely changed from what we were used to, the direct contact with people visiting and going to see any and everybody that you wanted to see, your mom, your dad, and everybody else. But today, as we visit, we're visiting via media. You can see me because we have the waves on, and of course, the three of us are here to share a very dear topic to a lot of people. A lot of people are asking and saying, how can I get married? How will I find a woman? How will I find a boyfriend? How will I find a girlfriend? And things like that. So some of us who are counselors, matchmakers, and something like that, if you're listening to me, we would like you to tune in, call in, and start giving us your comments at the bottom, because we have our own pandemic of non-daters, because we can't see each other when we have these masks. Even if you meet in the store, you don't know what somebody looks like. So our topic today is dating in the age of COVID-19. What say you? What do you suggest to people who are having problems finding mates? Or how do you suggest people date that are in the dating world? Of course, the married ones, we always expect they live together. So with that being said, let me hand over to the host so that he can open us up. The host and executive director, so that he can open us up officially. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, and welcome back. We missed you last week, but all the same, we know that you are fine and that you are responding 100%. That said, it is Sunday, February 7th, and Africa Online Media Corporation's live broadcast is being streamed on YouTube. It just came on my telephone to show that, yes, we're actually on YouTube as we do on most Sundays. It is therefore Sunday. It is the 38th day of the year 2021 on the Gregorian calendar. So we have 327 days left until 2021 is out of the way. 3 months, February, March, and November, have Sundays that fall on the 7th. So check that out in March and in November, Sunday the 7th. History tells us that on February 7, 1986, 28 years of one family rule ended in Haiti when President Jean-Claude Duvalier fled the Caribbean country called Haiti. A year later, on February 7, 1991, that country's first democratically elected president, he was a priest until then, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, was sworn in to lead that Caribbean country. On February 7, 1990, history was made because on that day, February 7, 1990, we saw the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The Central Committee of the Soviet Communist Party agreed to give up its monopoly on power. On February 7, 1999, Crown Prince Abdullah became the King of Jordan on the death of his father, King Hussein. And on February 7, 2013, the United States state of Mississippi officially certified the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, becoming the last state in the nation of 50 states to approve the abolition of slavery. The 13th Amendment, we must say, had been formally ratified by the state in 1995, but it was only in 2013 that they formally certified it. And I brought this particular one because February, they say, is Black History Month in the United States. That is all history. History, stories of happenings in the past. With that being said, let us turn our attention to our topic of the day, dating in the age of COVID-19. Experts in these matters of the heart and emotions tell us that, quote, every relationship goes through dating stages. Those experts go on to tell us again that there are 5 stages in which practitioners find love. Potential lovebirds experience attraction, they arrange a date, they find disappointment or satisfaction, they find stability if satisfaction is found, and finally, they make a commitment. So what exactly is dating all about? Wikipedia, that free encyclopedia that we sometimes turn to, tells us that, quote, dating is a stage of romantic relationships in Western society whereby two people meet socially with the aim of each assessing the other's suitability as a prospective partner in an intimate relationship. End of that quote. Wikipedia, however, goes on to add that dating, quote, is a form of courtship consisting of social activities done by the couple, either alone or with others, end of quote. But does the term mean the same thing to our immediate audience? Does dating happen in the same way among and between Africans on the continent, or for that matter, Africans in the diaspora? Hopefully, our discussion this evening will give us those teaching and learning moments that we seek by asking all the clarifying questions that we need to better understand what dating is all about or ought to be. Hopefully, by the time our discussion ends, someone will find an aha moment. Where it may not exist in vocabularies or lingo in respective African countries and traditions, where it exists, the practice of dating, therefore, may take different forms and shapes with differing intentions and outcomes. And in this age of technological advancement and COVID-19 devastation, dating may be a whole new ball game. But whatever form it takes, whether a new ball game or a pre-existing phenomenon, one must be quick to point out that dating has to do with emotions, feelings, and expectation for such outcomes that include the good, the bad, and the ugly. Takes me to a Western movie, isn't it? As I see it, such outcomes depend to a large extent on the individuals involved, the homework they did before the date or dates, and the circumstances of their meeting or meetings. It may also depend on the overall intention of the date, the age and or maturity of the persons involved, and the physical presentation of those going on the date. This brings to mind the need for potential date makers to have prior knowledge of each other before engaging to making and keeping the date. But in this age of COVID-19, how shall we put it? How shall we say it? Is dating as we knew it in the days gone by still going on the same way? How have lifestyles changed, especially as far as dating goes? What, if anything, has changed and what has remained the same? In spite of social and physical distancing, in spite of all the mask wearing, and in spite of all the frequent hand washing, can we say that we are really respecting and implementing all the internationally laid down and medically recommended regulations? What risks are date keepers putting themselves and their communities through? How far do we have to go to protect ourselves and our communities in the face of an invisible enemy like COVID-19? We are all aware that if that date gets out of hand and becomes more romantic than we anticipated, we would be breaking all the rules because on the spur of that moment, we cannot satisfy those feelings from a distance or with a mask on our faces. So looking specifically at the African continent, how was dating then and how is it in this age of COVID-19? Are people scaling back their dating habits or are they waiting until they see COVID-19 corpses before they cut out their enthusiasm? Whatever we do, no matter how feelings rise or emotions manifest themselves, it is worthwhile exercising caution, C-A-U-T-I-O-N, caution, please. We may say that there is only one life to live, but we must never forget that it is always better to be safe than to be sorry. Yes, it is better to err on the side of safety. So let us end this dating reflection with these words we borrow from William Shakespeare. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but I shall say, good night till it be tomorrow. Yes, the Shakespeare, good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but I shall say good night till it be tomorrow. Yes, in this case, I will say good night till it be Sunday again. And now, let me hand over the microphone to the chair of Africa Online Media Corporation, Reverend Palm. She's in Houston, Texas. Over to you. I know you have a hangar behind your house, so my little helicopter will drive in there and then hand over the microphone to you.
Thank you, Nia Song. I have a hangar, but I also have a helipad. So your helicopter is not going to land in my hangar, which is in my backyard. It's going to land in my helipad, which is above my garage. Yes.
Okay.
Am I blessed or what? Thank you so
Amen.
much. And happy first Sunday of February to all our listeners, all our panelists. And we're actually streaming live on Facebook, but before I say anything about dating, when I just think about the idea of trying to date somebody with a mask, you don't even know who is underneath that mask. You don't know if they have teeth. You don't know if they have. Oh my God! I also just the idea is hilarious. It makes me laugh. It's exciting, and of course our main anchor Nia Song has been married for more than 1,000 years. So the only person you can date is the same person he's been married to for 1,000 years. But whether she has a mask or not, you don't have to be afraid because you know who is exactly behind that mask. But it is just amazing. In February, we usually do a marriage series, and you see, next week is Valentine's Day. So at the top of the hour, we'll be talking about our next topic, which is a sequel to today's topic, dating. Yes, most of the time, marriages happen with is preceded by dating and maybe courtship. But we know there are arranged marriages. We know some culture. Some people meet just 1 hour before they get married. I actually had a former employee who was introduced to her husband 1 hour before the marriage ceremony. God forbid, I can't even imagine what that is like. But yes, this pandemic has really done a number on several industries, but also on the dating scene. The good thing is that prior to the pandemic, there were different online dating companies and apps. So I believe that the pandemic has taken those industries to another level. The only challenge is, if you have to try to meet somebody who is wearing a mask, I would discourage that. Because, first of all, there are people that meet people that have makeup, that have 10 layers of makeup on, and when the makeup comes off, they see what we call in Cameroon Juju Kalaba, which means the person underneath that makeup is nothing close to the person that you thought they were. So adding mask on top of that makes it really, really difficult. However, there are video apps like this Zoom, where I would advise those who want to date people in this pandemic, make sure you have a video call with them, whether you're doing it through WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever. I really don't want to be mentioning their names because they are not sponsoring these shows. But I would advise you to use a video conferencing to make sure the person that you are talking to, you can identify them physically, and they are not wearing a mask, so you know exactly what you are getting into. And it'll be good, to make, especially for the men, make sure the woman doesn't wear makeup when you are talking to them, because it's good to see exactly who you're talking to. But I am not going to take most of the time. I see our beautiful ambassador here. I'm going to hand over to Ambassador Lisa and then Brother Larry. You're welcome. But Ambassador Lisa, by the way, I love your background. Happy Black History Month to everybody. The mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all of you, wherever it is that you are watching from. We are so grateful for being able to come together today to talk about dating in the face of COVID. I personally am not dating. I don't know if I would want to be dating in the face of COVID. I do have a friend that I share time with on Sunday evenings after this program. He's in California, and we usually get together to watch a movie. We make sure that the movie is set for the same time. We get some snacks, some food, and we sit, we watch TV, we talk about the movie, and we have a good time. We've known each other for some very, very long time. And that's, I believe, how dating is going to be working now, from now until I don't see going out. I'm not one of those, I don't mind eating outside, but, you know, of course it's winter and it's snowing in Philadelphia. So, you know, I don't find anything cozy about sitting out in a plastic tent. I think that's even more dangerous. You know, a lot of our restaurants outside eating areas out with the electric lamps, and now they've enclosed them with, and I don't see any difference in that and sitting inside of a restaurant. So no, I'm not looking forward to going out to eat anywhere. You know, in the face of COVID, what's actually clean? What is actually being what, you know, when is food coming in, you know, with so many people being out? So it's very leery. This is a dangerous time to I think, to be venturing out into new relationships, especially when you're trying to go out and spend time out. Yes, Madam Chair, the video calls are the way to go for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Larry, can you unmute yourself? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Thank you. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I will. Well, dating, it's I mean, when you mentioned about this topic last week, I was like, oh, where is this coming from? We are we are in a serious situation, but we can't put that aside because it's part of life. And also in this situation, we need the body and soul. We need someone to talk to. We need someone that we want to share our feelings with. You know, for me and my wife, we've been married for 10 years. January was our 10th year anniversary. So when I look at the situation with COVID, with reference to the topic, it's a very, very sketchy situation for both the male and the female, because number one, someone would say, if you want to catch someone, go there earlier in the morning without telling the person, so you can see the real person, how the person looks. But it's kind of difficult now because people don't want to see anyone, and people are really silently dying in terms of emotions because there is no one to talk to. And if you want to talk, maybe you want to talk about job, you want to talk about COVID, somebody dying. What about me, myself, that I'm still alive? You know, how do we get to talk about that? How do we, what's going to happen after COVID? You know, so and a lot of people don't want to talk about that. And with this topic now, is something that I wish we have a lot of youth on this program right now, and you know, people that are looking forward to meet someone and so they can learn. Um, I'm open to learn. I'm hoping to also kind of share what I learned with a lot of people that, you know, they talk to me about someone they're dating or someone they're about to date.
Thank you very much for your input, Brother Lanry, and welcome to the program. Sylvia, I want to challenge you to this because I know you grew up as a teenager, as a youth, as a young woman in Zambia, and certainly it existed in Zambia. I don't know if I can say in my day, we did not know dating as such. We just knew that we met girls and sat down with them and chatted. We didn't know whether they were dates. We were just going from compound to compound visiting. So we're not really dating, we're just meeting people we considered friends, age mates or people close to our ages. And when I went to Sase College, we had 5 girls in a school of 200 boys. And it was like, oh, this is something very different. I grew up with a family of 5 boys and 5 girls, and we lived as a family. Then in the wider society, you met girls here and there. Then they used to have these fattening ceremonies where they'll bring the girl out to the market square on the day she graduates from her fattening room to go get married. And we never understood what was going on. But during that fattening period, the husband-to-be was never allowed to visit that girl. So I don't know much about dating as such. And I met my wife at my late uncle's funeral and just fell in love with her. And we've been on, as Reverend Pam says, for 1,000 years. So that is me. And I always say that, please, if you are dating with an intention, be ready to listen, be ready to take notes, and be ready to go along with whatever the other person is saying. Because when you date, you are believing that you are digging a road through which you will pass from day to day until death do us part. So Sylvia, please, what has been your experience or challenge?
Well, growing up, like you said, some of our friends call ourselves dinosaurs because we grew up in an era before the millennials came. We never dated like that per se. I guess being the family that I come from, I led a very sheltered life. And I was so envious of my friends who were always, allowed to go out and do whatever the heck they wanted to do. But with us, you had to have a chaperone, or you had to have some nonsense guy or somebody, next to you. So suffice to say, that made me very curious about, love, intimacy, and all that stuff, even though I was a late bloomer when it came to all that stuff. But as I've grown and I have traveled the world and seen the different aspects, the different sides of love and life, what I have found myself doing is I've been matchmaking people for so many years, and I didn't even realize I do that. So Lonre was talking about learning today about how this and that, would go on. And of course, you also mentioned Reverend Pam also mentioned about dating somebody who has a mask and you don't even know what's underneath there. I didn't date like that. I'm in love with my husband. He was introduced to me by my brother-in-law. We got married and that was it. So he died. Unfortunately, I was widowed young, but that's a story for another day. So we're talking about COVID-19 dating. And here's my perspective. 2-3 days ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me how desperate her nephew is. I believe he's 32 or 35, how desperate he is, and he's looking for a wife. Then 2 days later, she calls me and she tells me and says, "Oh, we found him a wife." I said, "What do you mean we found him a wife?" He says, "Yeah, we found him a wife. My girlfriend said they found a girl. I'm not going to mention her name. We found a girl, whatever her name is, and she's also looking for a husband." I said, "Oh, you're talking about matchmaking?" She says, "No, not matchmaking. He's going to marry her." I said, "Wait a minute. How does he marry somebody he doesn't know?" She says, "Well, that's how we do it where we come from." And lo and behold, for sure, the gentleman came. I spoke to him. I saw him she called me on video. I saw him on video, and he was very happy that he was going to see this girl. But guess what? The girl was under the whatchamacallit? The mask. So then he's looking at me right on the video, because he's got her on his aunt's video on this phone, and now he's talking to me on this, his phone. And now he's asking me I'm like, well, she's over there. She doesn't need a mask. Tell her to take the mask off. So when she took the mask off, you should have seen the beam on this young man's face. Lord have mercy. You could have cut that butter with a frozen knife, I'm telling you. So, but anyway, I do sympathize with a lot of us that are single today, because with the COVID-19, it's not helping us in any way, fashion, or form. And yes, Ambassador Lisa, we do crave the physical attention. That is so very true. The physical attention is something that was made with us, I guess, when God created us, and it's something we find very hard not to do with, so to speak. You see, even your children, they'll come to you, "Mommy, can I have a hug?" Or, "Grandma, can I have a hug?" We're just touchy feeling people. But going forward, what is our recommendation? Well, I'm going to draw on the story I just told you. If you know somebody who's looking for somebody, and that somebody also is looking for somebody, sometimes when you match those people, guess what happens? That somebody becomes a relationship. So I have a little black book that I keep names of guys that have called me that are looking for women. And I also have a little white book where I keep names of women that are looking for men. So depending on their requirements, I sometimes, my track record is pretty good. I'm not going to tell you how many people I've matched me, but it's quite high. It's above 250. So I know that I have done something right. So don't despair. COVID-19 is here, yes, but guess what? Even if you meet that person, you still need that 14 days quarantine before you go and meet him or her.
That's
so
right.
Let's keep the faith. Let's keep the faith. It'll happen. It'll still go. We can still date on Zoom like that. You see, on Zoom, you don't need a mask. So if you're introduced to somebody, like I'm looking at beautiful Reverend Pam here, you can see her, she can see me, and voila, you got yourself a date. Let's not despair, my people.
Thank you, Sylvia, for that. Yeah. Yes, so Brother Landry raised a point there which reminded me of some of my personal thinking and convictions. First of all, if you're looking at a girl for future living together or whatever, please, I didn't do this to my wife, but I prefer to say, take a look at her early in the morning, as Brother Landry said, when she gets out of bed. Take a look at her when she comes back from the farm. We are Africans. We do a lot of farm work. Take a look at her when she comes back from the farm. And third, but not last, take a look at her on Sunday when she comes back from church. Those are the three angles I look at a woman after I became married and was going around seeing how my friends got their wives. I encourage some of my friends to not just see a woman in the shopping center and say, oh, that's the one. Please take a different look at different times on that person and be sure that you understand that person. That is why I said if you're dating with long-term purposes, take a second look, listen attentively, and always never hurry to conclude. So I'll go back to Brother Landry. I think even though he's consulting something there, I think he's ready to talk. So go ahead, please. You've been married for 10 years. Personally, I think you must have grown up in those days when dating was maybe different than it is today with this COVID thing.
My story is a little bit different, and I think it kind of resonates with Sister Silva and also you as well, Professor. The thing there is, I did not. Me and my wife, we did not date before we got married. Um, my aunt was the one that introduced me to my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law now um, happens to be, like, okay, my daughter, uh, she's not ready to get married now. She's studying. She wants to become a professor, and I'm worried as a mom. So I think if you try to talk to her, let's see how it goes. And I was in Nigeria then, and my wife lives in the U.S. Was in the U.S. that time. So, and it was so funny. This is they were telling me about the person that I'd never seen. I've never seen a picture. I don't know how she looks like. She doesn't know how I look like. So it was kind of difficult. But I I said, okay, let me have an email address. So, and I emailed her, introduced myself, and she responded and she said, okay. And I asked, how can I see you? And then it was, wasn't Zoom, it was Skype, you know.
Skype.
Yeah, Skype. So I think every evening, Nigerian time, we'll go on Skype. Another thing that really that happened then was that the church she was attending, then they had a church program. So I decided I was going to be joining her with the church program, fasting and praying then. So, and I would join, we would pray, like 15 minutes, and there's nothing to say, nothing to talk about, just how is work, how is everything. All right, bye. Have a good day. So we took it further, and we both asked God for direction and conviction. So when we pray about it, and we got a sign, different sign. So I decided I was going to go to the US just to see her, and just to meet with her. And I remember one of my friends was telling me that, do you really know what you're doing? I was like, oh yeah, I think I do. But it was like, I don't think you know what you're doing. Because at that time, I mean, in Nigeria, you have, but then I was doing a business, a very successful business. I was making my millions of naira. That was in 2011. So, like, so what happened to all the girls here? I was like, well, I remember a lady told me that before she could say yes to me, she would want to see, she want to see a brand new house,
Oh,
and the
no.
car. I was like, okay, are you trying to tell me because of my success so that we can, not the lady then was not even, I did not see her as anything to me because of what she was saying. So I came to the US and I was asking myself that, what what would happen if if I see this lady and I just feel somehow, how would I react? What's going to happen? So, as the plane was about to land at JFK, 15 minutes, they will announce that the plane is about landing. So I just said to myself, I said, whatever it is, I'm going to love this person.
Awesome.
And I was, and that is the best decision I've ever made up to date in my life.
Awesome.
Uh, the best decision ever. Um, you know, I There was no. I don't think I can ever find someone like that.
Awesome.
Humble wife. Supportive. So it's different. It's a different sides to different people. How it happens, how they get to where they are, how they started. So we never did it, but along the relationship so far, 10 years, it's been wonderful. The first 2 years, I was trying to learn, in the how to manage a woman. you know.
So, Landra, let me ask you a question before you
Yes.
finish.
Okay.
Listening to everything that you have said about your life and how you met your beautiful wife and how she can be compared to no other than the love of your life.
Yes.
Looking at the COVID-19 today,
Yes.
what would your advice be? Let's say a young man or young woman comes to you and says, well, I'm really having a hard time. I can't find a boyfriend or I can't find a girlfriend. I mean, whichever way it goes. What would your advice be to those people or to that person?
Um, the question I would first ask myself is that before I ask the person is that um, when someone says that I couldn't find a boyfriend, I couldn't find a girlfriend, and within me it's like that's not possible because sometimes we have to picture we tend to picture our best Mercedes Benz I want to drive, right? This is kind of person I want to marry. um, I would tell them just to be open, keep it open, keep your mind open, because sometimes what you expect may not come to you, and what you don't expect that comes to you may be the best thing. It's hard to tell that part of story to people, and that is what has happened to me. So I would just tell them just
Okay.
keep it, just be let your mind be open and keep just uh, tread it softly to know the person first, and take additional step of introducing yourself. Be genuine at first, because COVID-19 is different. You're not seeing the person. It's just the video, probably video calling or through Zoom or, and right now everybody wants to look good on the screen. So that's kind of different. So just keep it open and, it's
Thank
different.
you.
It's tough. It's tough.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
tough.
Ambassador Lisa, the same question for you. A young man, my daughter calls you and says, Auntie Lisa, I can't find a man, Lord, and I am so tired of being single. I looked at this one, he just got on my nerves. I found out this one is a drunk. I found out this one is a womanizer. So, Auntie Lisa, what do I do? Because I am now 35 and my biological clock is ticking with all these masks everybody is wearing. Auntie Lisa, I know that you're the only one that can help me. Where would you direct that niece to?
Well, the first thing I'm going to talk to or share with her or him is that we're going to talk to God first. We're going to pray about it. Because even though we're concerned about the mask and you all are talking all about seeing them in the morning and all the makeup, it's what's inside the heart, first of all. And see what kind of person we're talking about in the heart first. I would say be patient. Even though COVID looks like a bad thing, it's always a good side to everything. And one thing I found in the face of COVID is that I think it gives us a chance to have a real relationship. And I'm talking relationship, I'm not talking about intimacy, because so often our young ladies are so quick to jump in bed, our young men too, are so quick to jump in bed on the first date, the second date. You don't know anything about that family, anything about generational curses that are attached to them. So with COVID and keeping your distance, that gives you an opportunity to talk and really talk about some things. Let's talk about some things that we may not talk about if we're sitting in each other's house with your arms around me and we watching TV, and next thing you know, we're necking, we're kissing. So even if someone is coming to your home, first of all, I got my temperature gun at the door. My contractor's coming checking temperatures. Because if you got a temperature, you can't come in here and work on the house. The house will just be the house. So I just think that we as young people, and I'm including me as young people, we need to take some time to set some standards, set some boundaries, and really think about what it is that we want. Not that we're just lonely, because we can be lonely, but we're never alone. We need to understand that we're never alone just because there's no one keeping us company. But let's think about what it is that we're really looking forward to. Understand that people's biological clocks are ticking. I tell my friends, especially some of my friends in Africa who are looking for women who want to be married, who want to have children. The first thing I share is, how are you treating the children that are already there in Africa? Are you helping out at the orphanages? Are you going and sowing seed? Because where you sow seed is where you reap harvest. So if you see some time into other people and other situations, then God will make that thing happen for you. I think what Dr. Mike Murdock says, what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. So I'm always encouraging them. You have your own child, but there are plenty of children in Africa that need some love, that need some care, that need somebody to consider to care about them. So let's work on what's already there in the atmosphere, that's already there in your physical sphere, and God will bring you somebody along for you, and then you can make all the babies that you want.
Reverend Pam,
Thank you.
come back to you.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Reverend Pam, same question, my sister. Where would we go with that discussion?
Okay, I want to make a couple of comments first. It's amazing how many people find spouses at a funeral. And as I'm not just directing this to you, people are supposed to go to funerals to mourn and say goodbye to people, but they are there checking out women and men. So this thing about funeral thing is not, I know quite a few people that have met their spouses at a funeral. So Nia Song, since you brought that up, I wanted to mention that. So not everybody who is at a funeral is there to mourn. Some people are there.
Not to interrupt you.
No.
We were celebrating the death of my.
You don't need to explain. It was still at a funeral. I'm just saying it's amazing.
So nice. Yes. I understand.
Well, you made the right decision because you have been married for more than 50 years. So, just to comment, I will share a couple of things. But, Brother Larry, I am so glad that you guys sought the face of God. Even though you were introduced by family, I'm glad you saw the face of God, because that's where a lot of people miss it.
Yes.
When we talk about dating in the face of COVID, we're not talking about marriage yet or courtship, but we're talking about dating. Courtship is different from dating, but I'm glad, because Proverbs 18:22 say, he who finds a wife, he say he that needs to find.
He. Yeah. That's right.
There are a lot of she's that are positioning themselves to be found, trying to help God. And a lot of the times they end up in relationships that are hell on earth. Even when they get married, they are married but single. So in this stage of COVID, actually, before I mention that, I want to comment on what our president said. Since you've declared yourself a matchmaker, I am sure the inbox is going to be flooded with people trying to get them to match you. I just want to say, mention a disclaimer. Africa Online Media Corporation is not in the matchmaking business. However, if you want to reach our president, you can inbox us at info@africaonlinetv.org, because that's the only contact for this. So I will forward it. So we are not in
Forward me all of them. Forward me all of them. I'll deal with them.
You, but she supposedly has a clean record, so good for her. Coming back to this dating during the COVID thing, it's not just, again, they're just, even though we're talking about video calls, you could still be video calling somebody and they may have a woman underneath their desk or in another room, or she may have a man in another room, you don't know. So the thing is just to pray. And
Yes.
if you find yourself in that dating, basically, before COVID, there was long distance relationships, internet relationships, and stuff like that. But now most people are stuck with that, with virtual relationships, because I don't know who started this thing again. I keep saying that this thing about social distancing, we should be socially engaged, but physically distant. So dating is in this environment is a form of social engagement. Whether you're in the same city or in different states, this virtual dating is the way to go. But I'll also advise people, like our brother Larry was saying, that back home, there are a lot of people that are looking at your house or your cars. Run away from those people. They don't love you. They love material things.
Yes.
You cannot save
Yes,
mammon and God. Those people, the day the money runs out, they will be out the door. Or even when the money is there, they may be there enjoying the money and then getting services outside because they don't really love you. So in this pandemic thing, my dear, you can get coronavirus from kissing a man or a woman, because you know that we are wearing masks to protect what comes out of our mouth. So can you imagine how intimate can you get? So I would just say it is not safe. But I also advise people, when you are dating people, get to know them. They may tell you what you want to hear. The real person may show up a year or 6 years or 30 years after you guys get married. Because why do you think so many people are getting divorced after 3 decades of marriage? They got married to the wrong person. My only advice I'll give is seek the face of God, because this pandemic, oh my God! In addition to, okay, you may have the makeup or without the makeup and do the video calls, but then again, a lot of people are lonely. So is he saying what is really in his heart, or he's saying what would entice you so you can be available for that video call? Is she saying what is really in her heart? Or she's saying it because she's lonely. She doesn't have the opportunity to go to the nightclub or go out to dine with the people. I mean, there's a lot of chameleon spirits out there, especially during this COVID. So the only thing I would advise is to pray, to really pray, because you're talking about, getting involved with a stranger, somebody that you are not related to by blood, somebody who can take you out. The person could be a killer, for all you know. The person could be a killer. So the only thing I would advise is to pray. It's not easy, but just pray. And believe me, God will send the right person. And for the sisters, please, don't try to help God. Don't try.
That's right.
Don't try to say, oh, you are in the 21st century. No, you should not be asking a man out. They should ask you out. I know in this day and age, especially women that chase men, they call and ask for men's phone numbers. They keep calling the men, making themselves available. My dear, what you are getting is anyway. Let me just stop here. Over to you, Nia.
Let me jump in a little bit. Nia,
Yes, Sylvia, go ahead. Sylvia, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The funeral part, I'm very interested in that funeral part.
Yes.
When I was growing up, I thought we were looking for partners at weddings and parties, engagements, and stuff like that. Okay. Yes, and churches, because everybody believed that if you met a man or a woman in church, then that was quote unquote, a Christian and so forth. But you know what? I find large that has never been true to the word, because some of us are hypocrites. We hide in the church because we want to get what we want to get out of it. And once we're done, that's it. But anyway, let's go back to the funeral one a little bit. I thought when we go to funerals, we're supposed to be, remorseful, in mourning, a little bit sad, and, maybe thinking about the person or the people that we're burying, depending on how many people are being buried at that time. So what you're telling me is our minds now, beeline, they circulate first around the funeral parlor, the funeral gathering and the coffin and everything else, and then, a light bulb comes on and you have Google eyes and now you're looking. Isn't that what we're doing at the funerals? Looking for, my next mate or my next boyfriend and stuff? Because if we're there to mourn and we're meeting all these people, I'll question myself. At a funeral, I met my wife. When it's such a remorseful or mournful or, sad event, I think I'd be happier if I met somebody at a wedding. because it's more of a happier setting for me, because then I'm jovial and I'm happy to see what I'm seeing. So this funeral thing for me now, let me adjust and see how I can jump into that mode. And when I go to funerals, I'll start looking and see who's
Oh
looking at each other.
no.
I want to see who's looking at each other and say, okay, that one's eyeing that one. So this is what they're thinking about.
Where the door opens, the door opens. I don't go to funerals to mourn because they're homegoings. I go celebrating. So
Their life.
somebody catches my eye and I say hello at the repast, or they say hello at the repast. So we're standing outside. We can talk later. I ain't gonna be exchanging phone. Now maybe I may give them a business card, but you never know what door
I
God
hear you, my sister.
So just be open. Be
Yeah,
open.
Okay, I have a question. Is that why
yes.
people dress up to go to funerals? Because that's a new trend I noticed. People
Yes, I noticed that too.
up to go to funerals. So this thing, so you have created something here, because now our president is now adding funeral as
That's
another
right.
outlet, a venue for her matchmaking search.
I'm going there, but believe me, I'm going to every funeral now.
Please
I
don't
will attend every funeral I hear.
your funeral. Please don't invite us.
Okay. Later on, when I got married, I realized that that was one of the three things that I told you about earlier, about looking at a woman at 3 different times. This was me in mourning. This was a young girl who came up and greeted me, and her uncle who was sitting with me. And I just asked him, who is that? And he said, are you interested? I said, yes, and went back to Yaoundé. This was 200 miles away. I went back to the capital city and did not come back until Christmas. And she came to visit. So I was happy that at least I'd asked the question, who is that? And then, of course, I will piggyback on Reverend Pam's and I think Brother Landry's remarks about seeking the face of God. Yes,
Amen.
Seek the face of God. Ask for his wisdom. Ask for understanding. And please, whatever you do, have a good ear when you meet that person, because that person may be telling you A, B, C, when she actually meant Z, D, Z, Y, what do you call it? Y, Z, whatever. So please, always have a good ear. Listen well. Pay attention. And please, don't let looks fool you. Let character tell you what to do. Because when you start dating, I didn't do that. You go out, you watch how that person behaves. You watch how that person talks. You watch how that person responds to other people who come around you. So please, some of the warning signs can be found from those conversations and interactions. So that is what I would recommend, and that is what I would say. If to answer Sylvia's question, I have 5 sons. I've never told them this is what you do. They do their own thing and bring the girl to me and say, Daddy, we found our partner and we want to get married to this person. I say, cheers. And please let us, as Reverend Lisa said, Ambassador Lisa said, Landry said, Reverend Pam said, Sylvia said, please let us give it to God. And I say that we'll move on. We'll move on. And things have worked out. I have 5 sons, as I say. So I'm still waiting for 3 to get married. So I mean, for 2.
Wow.
I'm still waiting for 2 to get married. So
you know what?
We're waiting and praying.
We have
You've spoken very well. You've spoken very well, brother. You know, no, it's true. I was making light of this, but it is very true, because you said you have 5 sons. I have 4 daughters. Unfortunately, all my daughters are married now, but by God's grace, even with the matchmaking that I do, let me make it very clear. I'm a Christian, and this here is, I'm given the faces by God. This is the gospel truth. You can come to me and point to me 10 men. Oh, I like those. Out of those 10 men, you may not even have a single one. The one that you were looking at behind that had the snot coming out of the nose and did not have a nice cut and had non-manicured nails, that's the one I'll point to and say, that's the man God set for you.
Okay.
I am a prophet.
Reverend Pam, we have somebody with a galaxy there. Can the person unmute?
Let me jump in real quick before I send them a message to unmute themselves. They can turn on their video and rename themselves. But I want to say something. You know, when you meet somebody, you don't see their character. You see their appearance.
Yes.
You see whether the man is a V shape, 6 foot and above, tall, dark, and handsome, or for some of us, tall, light, and handsome. but or the woman is a figure 8. So when you see people, you don't see character. So appearances are very important, but
Yes,
they're not everything. Appearances count because that's the first thing that attracts demand, the appearance. But before you go any further, you need to look at character. Let me tell you. And also there are people that look at titles. Titles can be acquired. Character cannot be. After the age of 14, it's difficult to change somebody's character except they have a Damascus experience like Saul did and became Paul, or God changes them. So for those of you who are looking, those of you who are in Sister Sylvia's black book and white book, I will advise you, character, you better get to know that person because looks will change. So anybody can gain weight, especially with processed foods in this country. Anybody can gain weight. But if somebody, you see a girl who is a bit plumpy, you can help her with exercise and she'll become, the mannequin that you want her to become. But character, believe me, I say this all the time, a leopard does not lose its spots except washed with the blood of Jesus. So we see our brother there. Brother, you can unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and let us know your name so I can rename you. And the mic is all yours. Our brother with Galaxy 10. Thank you for joining in. The mic is yours. We're talking about dating in this COVID pandemic environment.
Sorry, I'm more of a listener. You people, I think you people are expert, and my parents, my mentors, so I'm more of a listener. I'm still to get into that bit, so it's a matter of time. It's not a topic at my level. I'm just going to be a listener, putting that points. What I do is getting the lectures, being conscious about it, and trying to follow the example.
All right, thank you so much. Could you give us your first name?
Eric.
Okay, brother Eric, I just want you to know none of us here are experts. This show is unscripted. We are just regular people sharing our views. But thank you so much for zooming in. And whenever you feel like weighing in, just let the anchors know.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And that being said, we must continue the conversation. And the most important thing is, a friend talked to me during the week and said, yeah, Africa Online, I like it, but are you really addressing the African continent? I said, yes. Then the person said, oh, then you have to change the time. I said, well, we've been thinking about that, we'll see. But our focus is Africa and Africans. How are we helping shine the light on the concerns that arise? So let's turn our attention. We all come from African countries, except Ambassador Lisa, but she visits regularly. So what should we be telling the young boys and girls growing up in different African countries or living now in the diaspora who are seeking lifelong partnerships? Should they start with dating? Should they just go in and the first door they knock, they enter and get engaged? What should we tell them on the continent?
Before we answer that, Nyesom, can I just add to your list of other things you have to look for a woman?
Sure,
when you're sick, right? That is the best time for your beauty to show if you're looking for a person's beauty on the face. But like Reverend Pam said, if you're looking for the inside, it takes a little bit more time to learn the person's being. So the young children of today, our children, sons and daughters of today, if I may chime in first, Reverend Pam mentioned a very important point, which she stipulated to say, when you are dating, it's not always the sex that you should put first, because that then becomes a preconceived idea, because you are not in love with that person, but you are in lust of that person. Let me just be raw with it, and I make no apologies for what I'm about to say. This is what I do for a living. This is what I advise people. This is what I counsel. So here we go. So those of you who go into a relationship, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having sex when the time is right, okay? Get me right. There are prostitutes out there, and I'm not including those people. That's what they do for a living. That's what they choose. May God, bless each and every one of us. But I'm talking about you and me, my sons and daughters. Those of you who are going out there and just flaunting and sleeping around, even with the married men saying, oh, they'll leave their wives for me, guess what? That's a ruse. It'll never happen. If they were going to leave their wives for you, guess what? They would have left them before they came to you and slept with you. You become what they call a side chick. and as a side chick with benefits. Then when the newest side chick comes in, guess what? You get tossed to the curb and the new side chick comes in. In Africa, they even have a word to say the big house and the little house. You're the one in the little house, are the ones who are getting the crap or whatever you want to call it, the leftovers from the big house. So, don't undervalue yourself as women, as ladies. You are very, very expensive in the eyes of God.
Yes. Yes.
You are very expensive in the eyes of me as a mother, your parents, your father, your grandparents, aunts and uncles, brothers. Look how upset your brothers get when they see a man abuse their sister or don't talk to their sister in a good way. Even if it's not their biological sister, they see a man abusing a woman, guess what they do? They stand up. You can't do that. You can't do that because we are women. Now, some people may say, okay, some of us are getting desperate. The biological clock is what is it, 35, 38? When it becomes a little bit of an issue for us to conceive and we're considered geriatric. But guess what? You are not God. You are not God. When God gives you that man at that time, that means it's your appointed time. If you're going to get pregnant at 40 and the Lord says you're going to get pregnant at 40, you embrace it and you go with it. Don't adhere to peer pressure because you end up making all the wrong choices, so to speak. So take your time, look, listen, and be attentive like Asong said. The more you listen to a person, the more you get to understand him or her. It goes both ways, by the way, not only women, but both men and women, both boys and girls, or whatever you want to call us. I'm addressing you as a mother now. So when we start learning about each other, guess what? Before the month is over, you can feel, you as the woman or you or the man can feel to say, no, this is not going in the right way. Or yes, this is going the right way. If and when you involve God. But when you do it yourself and force yourself and push it, guess what? 3 months into your sexual encounter, you'll be like, no, that's not the right man. So how many men are you going to sleep with? Honestly, how many men are you going to sleep with because they say you want to test drive? You have too much highway mileage on your body, young lady, guess what? No man will want that to ride that highway. You need to treasure yourself, your body as a woman first. Treasure me as a woman. Then the rest comes after. When you treasure me, the opposite sex respects you. And when they look at you, they see you in wholeness. They see you as a woman of virtue. Proverbs talks about that woman of virtue. Sorry, I didn't mean to preach. I'll yield right there.
No, you're not preaching.
Reverend Palm, we're coming up to the top of the hour, so we will suspend that question and come to you first. So when we finish, we'll continue on the discussion.
Yeah, just to say, it's not just the women that have to value themselves, even men. It's funny how both on the continent and here, we've watched this on movies, we've heard all the stories how men sometimes they bet on sleeping with a woman, especially if you're a tough one, they want to take a bet that they will sleep with you. My dear, you men also, you should value your body and not just fool around. You should not. It's not just for the women, it's for both of you. But anyway, let me go to our anthem so Ambassador Lisa can smile. Can you guys hear?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Africa. Oh no. Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey, Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does, to identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems making our continent. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Will be education for everyone if we believe. Prosperity for Africans, we believe. Medical facilitation for Africans, we believe. Stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story, the truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
Awesome. Stand up, Africa. For Africans, you know, I can't get enough of that. DJ Skipper did a phenomenal job composing that. So that's our anthem. And we this is this series, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is our marriage series. Next week we are going to be talking about Before You Say I Do. That's been part of our marriage series for the past 3 years. We've discussed marriages for 4 years since this show started. But if you go to our website, you will see it, you know, Before You Say I Do and After You Say I Do. So this coming week, starting tomorrow, we'll be talking about Before You Say I Do. And we're going to end that on Valentine's Day, which is next Sunday. So hopefully, you know, a lot of people like to propose during Valentine's Day. Hopefully they will learn some things from this show, because we're going to be talking about Before You Say I Do, which means we're going to go past dating, talking about courtship, encouraging courtship, and things that you should think about. So, Brother Larry, with your 10 years under your belt, Nia Song with your 1,000 years under your belt, and we're hoping that other married people will come on the show to give people advice, those who are already engaged or thinking about engagement, and we have our African movies that depict a lot of this marriage series. Sometimes we think they are fictional. A lot of those things are based on true stories or inspired by true stories, things that are happening on our continent, among our people in the diaspora. So I would like to encourage everybody, to zoom in next Sunday as we do a sequel to this show, Before You Say I Do. The following week, we're going to be talking about After You Say I Do. So get ready. We'll need everybody here. Let's get some people who have been in the business for a long time to come on board. During this pandemic, a lot of marriages have fallen apart. So that will be in 2 weeks from now. After you say I do, what happens? A lot of people, when they say for better or for worse, they are thinking about for better or for best. They are not including the worst part. So next week we'll be talking about Before You Say I Do. Before I hand over to the anchors, our CFO is on, and I would like for us to spend the remaining 23 minutes focusing on dating during this pandemic. I would say stay home, watch movies, do your work, learn something, put dating on hold till this pandemic is over. Life is tough enough without coronavirus or COVID-19. Don't go get yourself, messed up with this coronavirus because you are trying to date. Reverend Solange, please unmute yourself and weigh in on the topic dating in this COVID pandemic.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry I came in late.
No, welcome back.
Fine. Thank you, Nia Song. Thank you. Where am I? Yeah, I think this is a very interesting topic. My thing is, it may sound funny, but how do you date when you have a mask on? Well, maybe you've discussed that already. I don't know.
We have. But go ahead. We want to hear your view.
Yeah, because like today, I went to church today, right? And this lady has been there for so long. She had a baby and came back. And she was greeting me with all enthusiasm. And I was thinking that she's a newcomer. Why? Because she has this mask, she had double mask on with a baby and all that. I was greeting her cordially, but after a while, I went up to her. I'm like, I really don't know who you are, but the way you greeted me, you must be. Then she pulled down her mask. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody that I personally was involved in doing her baby shower, and I could not recognize her. So that's what, it's the same thing like trying to date during this time with your mask on. Okay, you take someone out for dinner, because some restaurants are really, operating right now, full scale. And then a lot of times when you date, you take someone out, get to know each other, and then you're in the restaurant, you have to pull it back up, pull it. I mean, it's so inconvenient. As Reverend Pam was saying, maybe there are some things we should just put little breaks on. I'm not saying people should put their life totally on hold. There's just one life to live, and time waits for no one. But we have to do dating at this time of the pandemic. We proceed with caution. That's all I can say. Proceed with caution. And try to not date during the night, because without mask, you might not recognize them during the day. Make sure these bright lights. Okay, over to you.
Yeah, now Sylvia, I mean, Reverend Solange, before we went on the break, we raised the question of what shall we tell the young people of Africa, or people in Africa and the diaspora in general, who are in search of lifelong partners, or who are in search of partners. So in this age of COVID-19, what do we tell them, especially our young boys and girls on the continent?
It just so happens that, I don't know what I would say, unfortunately for them, most of them, they are at that dating age, and then we have the pandemic. So they're going to be shortchanged somewhere along the line. Things are not just going to be normal, like if there was no pandemic. It's going to be different. They have to come up with new rules. They have to invent new things, new ways of doing it in a safe way that they don't get hurt by trying to date or trying to do things normal. Trust me, this is nothing normal. This has not happened like a century. So there's nothing normal about this. Talk about students that just graduated, like my daughter, she just graduated from UT, and half of the last year, she did it at home, online and all that. It was so awkward. Some of her courses require that they do practicals and labs and all that, but she just could not do that. So things are not normal. Nowadays generation, they just have to come up. They're very creative anyway. Trust me, they will create something. They're very creative, more than we give them credit for. They'll come up with something, but proceed with caution. Okay.
Okay, let's go around the table and see what opinions we have to share. Brother Landry, are you still with us? Yeah, I see you right there. Yes, please go ahead and share your opinions or your views.
With regards to the conversation, sir?
The young
Yes,
people,
please.
what to tell our people, young people, not just in the continent, but also in the diaspora, about dating during this COVID pandemic?
One thing I would say to young people like me, is that as Reverend Solange just said, tread with caution. The most important thing is that you should know what you want, what you're looking for, and also be open, because sometimes we tend to, like, I'm looking for a guy, I'm looking for a lady, and we don't know what we want. We just want to have a taste of the person, and that's it, you know. And that is infatuation. Once that one set in, you missed your priority. So most especially is that you get to know the person, very important, and if possible, get to know the people that are close to the person, because you are on a journey of so to speak, like no return. You know, if truly you want to go to that journey of, I want to marry, I'm ready to take care of this person, I'm open to her to take care of me too, then you have to make sure that you are truthful to yourself. Very important, because I've seen a lot, and I've had a lot of stories, experienced things, and there is always something that is not well built with the foundation of relationship. So you tread softly, build it softly, no rush. Most especially in this pandemic, priorities are different, so.
Ambassador Lisa, you've been silent for a while.
Yes, my system kicked me out. I had to go all the way out and come back in. Yes.
Yes.
So we're still talking about the question we were talking about before we went to break?
Yes. What would you tell the young people out there who are seeking, especially on the continent and the diaspora, young Africans?
Well, I spend a lot of time talking with my sons. I have 9 sons in Uganda. And I spend a lot of time with them in preparation for marriage. I've spent a lot of time with my daughter-in-laws. I've been blessed and privileged to be there to marry 2 or to help participate in marrying 2 of them. I now have 4 daughter-in-laws and a slew of grandkids now. So I'm always interested in how they meet. My firstborn son told me he just saw this girl, in the internet cafe. He said, "You're going to be my wife," and she said, "Okay." I was like, "That don't work in America. That's not how we do things in America." So I try not to take away from their culture, but at the same time, I try to add some wisdom to stopping and thinking first. Stop and let's have conversation first. I'm told there's not a lot of actually dating is just now coming to the continent. It's just now coming to Uganda. My brothers and sisters in Kenya are just now starting to have this concept of dating. So since it's something that's rather new to them, I get a chance to have some input in what kind of things to look for, what kind of things to watch out for. I do love the fact that they have these introductions, which requires them to meet everybody in the family. I'm not in favor of that second and third wives thing at all. I don't like sloppy seconds, not here in America, not there in Africa. I just tell them, just be careful. Don't be in such a hurry. So many of them, when I went to Africa the first time, I did a singles conference. And the pastor who invited me was telling me that so many of the young people there see marriage as a end all to be all. that, and then they get in these marriages and because they don't have the societal freedoms to talk like we in America do, they suffer in silence in these marriages. They suffer, they're getting beaten home, all kind of things are going on. When I did my first sisters retreat in Kenya, all the wives want to know, my husband beats me, can I leave him? My husband won't work, can I leave him? You know, and I was like, okay, we're Americans coming here to talk to Kenyans. You know, we all have our own bank accounts, we got our own money, these things are not there. So we had to be very careful in how we talk to them and how we share our American views with those on the continent. So, you know, you just share general things, like you said, we seek God first, make sure he's not putting his hands on you, not even in play, because if he does it in play, he will do it for real. And then you're stuck because you all have this mindset that marriage is final and infidelity is okay. He can beat you and that's okay. And I have a hard time trying to swallow those concepts and not share my views as an American going into the continent. So I just really caution them to let's spend some time, get to know them, get to meet them. And they all want to introduce me to I'm the mama that they introduce first, even before they talk to their families. I'm the one that I met. I don't know if it's because I have my American values, but I'm the one they take home first to the other girl. I'm the one they bring the girls to first before they even take them home to their moms.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, go finish your sentence.
I just have to caution them to be very careful, and I have to be very careful myself as an American, not to bring my American views. You know, for me as a woman, I look at three things when I approach a man or a man approaches me: his ring finger, his teeth, and his shoes. If those three things don't pass the mustard, he can't say anything else to me. We can be friends, but we're not going into dating. So those kind of things I can't necessarily say in Africa because, you know, they're not buying shoes every 5 minutes. They're not taking the shoes to the shop, things like that. So I have to play it very cool when I'm in Africa, dealing with their cultures and their traditions.
Nia, some real quick, Ambassador,
yes, go ahead.
Ambassador Lisa, talking about the men beating the wives, that's not American view. That's world view. We Africans, we don't support it. We have done domestic violence every year on this show. So it is not an African view. The fact that it is rampant there doesn't mean it's acceptable. It's just because the men are not being held responsible.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, I want to make sure our listeners don't think it's part of our culture. It's not.
No, I understand. You know what? As a matter of fact, my first conference that I did with the women, I came away and I told my sisters I wasn't going to go back and have a conference with the men because they, one, don't value the women. Two, they don't understand the purpose of a wife or a woman. And that's what I found lacking in that. Let me just say, at least in Nkemleke, Kenya, where I was with the women who all want to lead their wives. I've never seen a group of women, and every single one of them want to lead their husbands because of the abuses that they were suffering. Either he won't work, he won't bring money home, he drinks, and he's beating them. So yes, it is a world problem. So I'm not saying that it's in Africa on the continent at all, but at least in America, we don't, you know, we can go to divorce court or, you know, we fight back. I don't understand.
But you call 911.
Or you fight back.
There are repercussions in the system.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that you know, our viewers don't think it's acceptable, because it's not. And that beating thing doesn't start just after marriage. I'm sure there's some evidence of it during the dating. And if you see, like one of the ministers in Georgia said, you know, before you marry that guy or whatever, which we're going to go into details later, find out how he acts when he's angry. Does he throw things? You know, those things, those things are there. They are inbuilt traits. They don't happen after you say, I do. You know, so that is a no-no. But anyway, Niason.
Wait, before you said, did you see that just recently, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a couple on YouTube. They had their wedding. They were doing the cake part of the cutting of the cake. And she smashed, this is a white couple. She smashed the cake in her husband, you know, playfully. She smashed the cake. And we do that. We, you know, smash the cake all over. He picked up the entire 3-layer cake and threw it in her face at the wedding and knocked her down. And I'm like, this is how you do on the wedding. No telling what is going to happen to her in marriage. This is how he handles a playful thing that happens at all weddings. I thought that was such a horrible thing to happen on your wedding.
anger.
That was unfortunate. That was unfortunate. Sylvia, you have your views on this topic. But before you go, I want us later on, if we have a few minutes, to add the role of parents in all this dating business. So Sylvia, go first.
Well, like everybody else says, I think I should just echo the words of everybody that spoke before me. You have to be cautious, but during this period of the pandemic, you can still date online. You can still have your phone, your Zoom calls, your WhatsApp, your Skype, FaceTime, whatever it is that is visible for you, so that you still maintain that connection, you still maintain that camaraderie. And suffice to say, Sister Lisa, I think you and I need to get together when the pandemic's done and put that singles together, because I did one in the 1990s in Florida and it was very successful. Out of the 1,000 people that attended, 525 managed to get each other, together and
I love
find
that.
couples. Yes, and find couples. So I think this is a need. I'm seeing a need here where people are going to need a little bit of help for those of us who have experience in this. Then secondly, not to dampen the African culture, I am what they call Vanachimbusa in Zambia. And what Vanachimbusa does is, I'm a woman who allegedly has wisdom in the line of marriage, and I train and educate these ladies to become, the proper women that, with etiquette and everything, how you clean yourself, how you clean home, how you cook, and just the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak. In other words, we want you, when you go into your home, you're whole, so that your husband doesn't have any reason to complain about anything. So also the nagging, we also teach you not to nag too much, because this is what makes our men leave the house to go look for that little small mother or small wife outside. So with that being said, Sister Lisa and I think we should get together, do this when the pandemic is over, and let's see what we can do for our children now. You young men and women out there, be careful, pandemic is real. Reverend Pam said it, the pandemic is real, it's no joke. Some of us have lived it, we have had it. Some of us have brothers and sisters or children who have had it, and this is not something you want to play with. So if you're gonna date sensibly, be at a distance, do the Zoom thing, and keep going, and may God bless us all.
Yeah, Brother Landry, you brought this up at the beginning because you were lucky, at least I should say, because your mother and her friend were good friends. So family came in there very readily to support you as you later on decided that you'll get married to this young lady that you had been told about. But what will you tell that young boy or that young girl on the streets of, say, Lagos or Abuja, who are seeking how to get together to start a wedding or a marriage? Will parents accept their choices?
Like I said, it's different. One of the things that helped me so much is my relationship with my parent. My mom, my dad passed some 35 years ago. So and as a single mom, I'm kind of close with my mom. And when I'm dating someone, I don't hide it from my mom. Reason is because I want to make sure that I'm taking the right decision and taking the right step. And also, I'm very open to whoever I'm dating, bring them over to my house. I don't want to I don't date, go and meet the girl somewhere or my friend's place, because one of the things that I learned was that we have friends influence, and it's a key thing that we overlook because we are guy. We want to be in the boys club of I'm dating that girl. You share all those things like that. So for those out there currently having someone or about to or in the situation, I would say if you don't have that relationship with your parent, at least you have relationship. You might have a relationship with your brother or your sister. You want to let them know they can have a good advice. They can see what you're not saying. And when they are cutting, an elderly man is cutting a tree in the forest, they know where it's going to fall to. You might be cutting, but they know the direction that the tree is going to fall, so they see beyond that. So you want to make sure that you connect with your brother, most especially your parent. They're not going to deceive you. Your brother might be doing the same thing you are doing, pick one, leave one, pick one, leave one. But your mom wants the best for you. They want to see their grandkids. They want to see you. They want to be at the wedding. They want to be proud of that. So they're not going to deceive you. They can. My mom would tell me that Larry, do you want to hear the truth? I was like, oh, what did you see? And she would just tell me this, that, and not without even thinking of those things. Those are the things that I've been seeing without thinking about or even having to focus on. And those things help me a lot. When my wife's situation came up, immediately I told my mom. She just said, "Let's pray about it." And we went on prayers, and here we are today. So, people out there, uh, for the parent, I would advise that let your parent, your mom or your dad, whoever you are close to, or both of them, let them know what's going on with you. Let them know about your girlfriend or your boyfriend. It's not that and also help you not to double date, because they don't want to see you bringing red today, bringing brown tomorrow.
That's right. Thank you very much. Reverend Solange, your view on that?
Pandemic and dating. Let me go back to that topic. Okay. Something came to mind. I don't know if you talked about it earlier. Like, it could also be interesting if they could pick a place, like go to the park where you can do physical distancing, talk to each other, see each other, especially if it's like a first date. Things are going to close places. It's not really advisable during this time of the pandemic. And also, because of so many restrictions, get your parents involved, like Larry said, get your parents involved. Your parents should get to know who you're going to meet at the park, or most likely you're not going to invite that person home because of the pandemic, because you don't know who that person has been with. You don't know their household and all that. So you're going to meet at some open place, like a park. And in the park, of course, we have all these benches. You could sit at that end, and I'll sit at that end. I will still be talking dating talk. That is fine. Okay. That's
All right.
my little contribution.
Thank you so much. Reverend Pam, should we take the round of the table at this time?
I thought that was a round of the table. We have less than 2 minutes.
All right. Ambassador Lisa, your turn.
She already spoke.
She already spoke. That's it.
Oh, okay, she did.
Already spoken. Yes, on your turn.
Yes. So,
no, it's not his turn. Okay, we have
It's Reverend Pam.
It's Sylvia's turn.
No, Sylvia just spoke.
I spoke.
I hope you are not drinking from me in that room there.
Maybe it's palm wine. He's drinking palm wine.
Before I give my last word, Niasom, can you raise that book? That's our book, Africa's Brain Power. It's on Amazon. It's $19.99. Can you raise it? Africa's Brain Power. It's also on. Yes.
Yes, okay.
Beautiful. Those are the editorials from this show from March 20th to December 2017. It's a masterpiece. Valentine's Day is coming. Please buy it. It's an anytime gift. Please buy it and support Africa Online Media Corporation. Our CFO did not say anything about donation. Our president didn't say anything about donation. Let me speak on all their behalf because we don't have time. Go to www.africaonlinetv.org and make a donation. We're tax exempt. Our administrators in a country where internet is unstable. That's why you haven't seen her on the show. But next week, hopefully, we'll give you some updates on Operation Borehole 55. The engineers in Sierra Leone are working very hard. As far as dating, unfortunately, I posted there, our African parents, usually, especially those on the continent, don't engage in discussing dating with their children, and they really need to start doing that because the kids need guidance, or else they will fall under peer pressure. I would like to advise that when you start dating somebody, please be honest. That may be a tall order. Tell them what your expectations are. If you are somebody who is interested in marriage, if that person is not interested, don't even go on a first date. There's no point wasting your time. As far as this COVID pandemic goes, I would say stay home, watch movies, watch television, learn something online. Maybe one of our young people can come up with an app, a dating app that you can actually feel somebody from a distance without getting coronavirus. Near some, it's
yeah. Watch movies, but watch good movies, especially religious movies or movies with good messages. That has been our discussion this Sunday. We are very grateful for everybody who came in. Ambassador Lisa, Brother Landry, Sylvia, Sister Solange, or Reverend Solange, and the rest. I think there was Eric who came and left, but he at least made an impact. He let us know him. So Reverend Pan, thank you all very much. Please let us enjoy the rest of the week, and let us see each other during the week on Africa Online Media Corporation's WhatsApp group, because we're posting the topic tonight or tomorrow afternoon. And then please weigh in if you can on before you say I do. Before I say I do. Well, we're talking to the young people out there, because all of you here had already said your I do's. That said, thank you all very much. And enjoy the rest of the week.
Don't even try it, Nessa. Some of us have to go round 3 and round 4. What's your problem?
No, right? That's what I'm saying.
What do I do now?
No, I thought we were closing the program.
If we went round 1, we need to go to round 2.
I do. So don't storm here. Don't start.
I did not understand. I thought she was saying that we should continue to discuss dating.
No.
It's okay. No, you are free. You are free, please, to go ahead and start all over.
Okay.
It's never too late.
There you go.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a blessed
day.
Bye. Thank you.
The name of the book is Africa's Brain Power. Africa's Brain Power. It's on Amazon. Africa's Brain Power.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.